pawn is worth 1 point. Only one. Okay, but they can be extremely powerful. Number one, you've got 8 of them. So there's 8 points sitting here across the board. So that right there already has some value. But then they can also do some other things. And so just never underestimate the power of a pawn. They can move 1 spot forward on their first move. They could also move 2 spots forward on their first move. Okay? So white always moves first. Always white moves first. So let's say he moves 1, black moves 1. Now here, I can only move 1 now because it's after my first move. Okay? So at this point forward, the pawn can only move 1 space forward. Only on that first move can he move twice. Okay? So pawns move forward. My move, his move. Now at this point, these 2 pawns are stuck. They can't do anything because a pawn can move forward, but he can't capture forward. So he can't do anything here. This guy's stuck. We'd end up having to move some other piece. Okay? A pawn, the way they attack is, let's say my guy moved twice and now black moves twice on their first moves. This is how a pawn can capture. I have 2 options here. I could capture or I could move forward. Okay? So if I capture here, boom, I get his pawn. I would physically take his pawn off the board and I'd set it over here to my side. And I have captured 1 point. I've captured 1 pawn. Now, from this point forward, let's say black then moves up again. I got a choice again. I can move forward and just go on towards the king, or I can capture sideways, or not sideways, but at a diagonal. Okay, now I've captured, I take that pawn off the board, set it over here, and I have 2 points. 2 points. Because again, 1 plus 1 is 2, right? You're white. It's your move. What can you do? Can you move forward? No, because there's somebody there. So he's stuck going forward. Can he capture? He can capture diagonal, we know. So can I capture up here? No, because that's 2 spots. 1, 2. He can't capture any more than just 1. So right now, this pawn can capture this spot, which there's nothing there, so he can't go there. Or we can get this spot capture, and there is something there, and he could take it. This would be nice, too, because that rook's worth 5 points, but we'll get into that later. So I can go there and capture that rook. Okay. Another important thing about the pawns and what makes them extremely useful is not only do they control space and are worth 8 points, all of them together, but if you can get them all the way across down to your opposing player's final rank, which if you're white, that would be 8. If you're black coming this way, they're trying to get theirs to 1. But if you can get them down here, you don't have to have 2. You just get one of them in there. Once he gets in there, boom. I can trade that pawn. Most do a queen. And that's usually your best. It just kind of depends on the situation. But you can trade them in for any of your major pieces. You wouldn't trade it in for another pawn, but you could trade it in for a rook. You could trade it in for a knight. You could trade it in for a bishop. I should be pointing at white. Or you could trade it in for a queen. So in this case here, it didn't change it automatically here. But I could trade that in for a pawn. I don't know why it kept that on there for. All right, sometimes this program acts kind of goofy. Okay, I could trade it in there for a queen. I might even trade it in for a bishop. I could. Again, it's being weird. I could trade it in for a knight. Yep, oops. Could trade it in for a knight. Or I could trade it in for a rook. Usually your rook or your queen's the one you'll usually switch it to because they're the most powerful pieces. Okay? Potentially, it is possible if I got all 8 pawns, if I still had all of them, if I could manage to get them down there, I could, yes, I could, if I got all 8 pawns down there. Let's get rid of him. Let's pretend they're all. Again, it's being weird. Sorry. I could. Hey, the king left the board. I could get all 8 queens. I could. Now, are you going to be able to get all 8 pawns down? No, I don't think this could happen. And you could still have your original queen too. Remember, you started with the queen. So it could be potentially, it is possible you could have 9 queens on the board. Now, no, I don't think it could happen. I've never seen it happen. I've never seen more than 2 or 3. And it's also a good rule of thumb. If you get 2 queens, you should win that game. You don't need to keep cashing in queens. So if you did this, I wouldn't want to see this because it really wouldn't be good etiquette. Because, like I said, you should be able to win the game. Now, sometimes it's fine to cash them in and get those queens or trade them in. But just theoretically, you could have 9 queens. That would be crazy.